let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberty and unbraided not, and it shall be given unto him.
Okay. Now, I know that everybody else in here has this great wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. But Brother Humper still realizes how dumb I am when it comes to the deep things of God. Somebody say amen. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
So many times, and maybe all of you can sit down and read a verse, you read it, and you understand what you read, but I can't. I have to sit down, just like this morning, I just sat there and I just kept going back across and back. Like right here it says, Romans 23, thou makest thee boast of the law through breaking the law, dishonoring thou God. I have to sit and go over and over and over. Anybody else has to keep going over and over and over like me? Come on.
We got two, that's a 10.
There's a great depth there. So, anybody here, you got something on your heart you want to say, ask a question, make a statement about it, or whatever? Somebody. Anybody? Well, thank God everybody knows everything. So, nice for you all to be here. Thank God. Hallelujah. Give the Lord a great big hand and let's get out of here and go home.
Well, can we ask anything about wisdom?
Ask anything, whatever God's laid on your heart. Now, Sister Sylvia come to me yesterday, I guess it was, and she read something. I want her to read this. This might kick a spark in somebody here, so just read what you read to me here yesterday, I guess it was. I love it. Like I'll be in the bathroom studying and so forth, and she'll come walk in and she'll say, I want you to hear this. Well, something registered in her. Where you at?
Psalms 55:21. But that don't even have nothing to do with wisdom.
Well, we're not talking about wisdom. I'm just using, you have not because you ask not. In other words, you're not going to get anything out of it if you don't ask. So say that.
55:21.
Read that. Your body's yourself. Hallelujah. Somebody needs to be instant season, not season.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet there were drawing swords. In other words, somebody that's wicked, they can be so sweet, soft as butter. In other words, they're of the devil though.
Where was that at? I didn't get it. Psalm 55, 6. Oh, what? 21. That's what I didn't hear.
We're talking about the wicked here. You know how the wicked is?
My Bible says ready to wound. I mean,
Yeah.
underneath the passage, it just says ready to wound.
Yeah.
So whatever
Yeah,
their
that's right.
goal is,
Yeah, you're right. I didn't say it right.
whatever their motive is.
Psalm 55:21.
Yeah.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil,
Yeah.
yet were they drawn swords. So what the Lord is trying to say here, how's the devil going to come on the scene? The Antichrist, rather, how's he going to come on the scene?
Oh, sweet.
Huh?
That's
So
nice.
what?
Deceiving.
Deceiving. Well, you think he's going to come on cursing and carrying on
No.
and cause trouble? Great speaker. Smooth words.
Slick talker.
Say what?
Yeah,
Slick
yeah.
talker.
Exactly.
Probably will have a lot of charisma.
Say what?
He'll probably have a lot of charisma and promise
Oh, yeah, he
everything.
will. And how many of you know Obama? Even though people knows who he is, his words are just so smooth. I mean, all our brothers and sisters, 9 of them was killed there in South Carolina. He goes to that church and stands behind the pulpit. This is the same one that when he had to go to the other churches and so forth, and the Muslims was going to see it, he made him take down the crosses and pictures of Jesus and everything. But now, because of this position that he's in as a president, he's got to keep face. So he goes in, stands behind our podium, and he said smooth words. Made everybody smile, sat behind him, so forth. Then all of a sudden he starts, amazing. And he sang it. They sang it with him.
He sang what? I didn't
Amazing
Amazing
Grace.
Grace.
Oh, he sang Amazing Grace.
Sang
Yeah, I
it.
heard that one.
Then that same evening, he calls a gay man that had lost his lover and was giving him condolences.
Oh, dear.
Now, with the same day, all the states became homosexual. They lit up the White House in all the rainbow color, homosexual colors, including Harrisburg. Words so smooth. There ain't nothing the matter with him. I watch Sunday mornings on the people that discuss all the politics. And they said that he's doing a very good job. For who?
Yeah.
For who? He sure ain't doing a good job for Christians. Just let him alone. He's doing a good job. Look how far he has brought us. How far he has brought us. No, look how far he has taken us down. Somebody say amen.
Yep.
So, what's he saying here again? The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. The war was in his heart. He said, and we have one of the tapes, so he said, except a person be a Muslim, there's only one certain thing for them, death. So, American president said he's a Muslim, and there's only one certain thing to those that don't convert is death.
That's right.
Smooth. I mean, he stood up there and said it to the American nation. But we didn't get upset. It's so smooth. Smooth peanut butter. So say, man, somebody makes some statements. Go ahead.
But this one minister was threatened
Clear
by,
the mic.
this one minister was threatened by the Muslims because he is in the Word all the time, 12 hours a day or so. And he said it,
Jack Van Emden.
yeah, and he said that 300 churches, I mean churches that are full of God's people, the pastors and them went Christian, went Muslim. They are in for destruction. I don't care what anybody says, they're in for destruction. And then a pastor from Florida, he was on TV, and he said it, that one of the ministers, because he has, I guess, thousands of Muslims in his church, took the Christ sign down from the top of the church. I'm telling you, folks, us Americans, us Christians better wake up, because something's going to backfire on a lot of them for yielding to this. You're going to see some nasty stuff take place. Nasty. So I'd rather live for Christ and be martyred than to be one of the 300 churches that's going to put Christ down.
Oh, boy.
That's one reason we play that one song down there, is time to wake up. Time to wake up to God. Even the Bible says, wake up thou that sleepeth. But what is the matter with the picture whenever Jesus said in Matthew 24, when you see all these things come to pass? How many things?
No, he's not.
All these things come to pass. No, it's near you and at your door. That generation sees these things shall not pass away till, what? Next verse. Till all things be fulfilled. But what's the matter with this picture here? We see the signs. Jesus told the Pharisees, you're hypocrites. You can discern the weather. You see the sky lowering and red and this and that and so forth. And you can understand that foul weather or good weather is coming. But you can't discern the signs of the time. Well, what's the matter with that picture? Can I ask that question? Why? What is going on that people can't seem to wake up? Somebody?
I think people do know it, but they feel helpless. What can they do? They pray, but I know a lot of people pray for this country, but we keep seeing ourselves moving in the direction we don't want to go.
Yeah.
Listen, my best buddy was a black man from Philadelphia when I was in the Army. And when Martin Luther, and I wasn't a Christian either, when Martin Luther King got shot, I cried like a baby. But one thing our black brothers and sisters did not, whether our brothers and sisters now or not, one thing they did not do, they did not quit. They kept on, kept on, kept on. My Bible says, he that endures to the end.
Well, I'm not saying they quit. You're saying, you know, like, well, nobody's not doing anything. Well, I do think a lot of people still pray for this nation. But you know what? I'll just say this. Would have it made a difference when they passed that law that now the states have a right, I mean, that all homosexuals can get married now in all the states? What if all the Christians would have orchestrated and got on a bus and went to Washington? Would have it made a difference?
Yes.
Yes, it makes a
Yes.
difference.
Then why not?
Well, that's what John Hagee does.
Okay, Madeleine O'Hara, she's the one that had the Bibles taken out of the church, out of the nation, out of school and so forth, out of the schools and nation. One woman made a difference. Where's the Christians at? Why didn't somebody stand forth? Why didn't somebody up? Even the Bible says, sign no mark, let the trumpet is on. Fear not.
Proportion too.
Abortion. How many know God's got to judge America? We're not talking about the rest of the world. We're talking about America. Where how America goes, the world goes. Somebody say that.
Because he's not just gonna judge different ones that's not serving, because there is a lot of good Muslims and a lot of bad Muslims. There's a lot of bad whites and there's a lot of good whites. There's a lot of black folks that are bad and there's good ones. So what we have to do is, even every day when I'm praying, we have to pray for the Muslims, because can you imagine all that destruction over there, all that killing? And some of them Muslims are just trying to live in them nations. They're not up to killing nobody. They just live in them nations. We need for that to pray, Lord, where can you take them? And then just do, Lord, what you're going to do with the rest that have a wicked mind and are the devil.
Okay, I'm going to make a statement. There's not a good Muslim in this world. Whoa, what did you just say? We're not talking about one that's called a Muslim's name. I'm talking about a true Muslim. If they believe and they follow the Quran, they are wicked as all hell. They got one thing in their mind, kill you. Now, because they're born in a Muslim country, just like somebody born in America and they're raised in a Catholic family, they say I'm Catholic does not make them Catholic. But if they confess, I am a Muslim, and they believe what the Quran holds, they're out to kill you. So they're no good, although we need to pray for them. So to say there's good Muslims and bad Muslims, we can say it this way. If they're a true Muslim, they're no good. God still loves them. But there's Muslims that they're born into it, but they do not hold and perform all the duties. But God is going to have a lot of Muslims come to God.
That's what I'm saying.
And I believe a lot of them is going to be the ones that has got a lot of murder and so, which is like Paul. Because he's been showing up
Jesus
through them.
Christ.
Somebody say amen. Remember what the Lord told me? He said, how do you word that, Sister Joan, about don't accept evil? Do not be influenced by accepting evil. Do not be influenced by accepting evil. How many of you know that's what's going on right now? Ministers will not speak against the president, against homosexuals, against the government, against anything at all, because they told me out of their own mouth, I'm afraid to go to prison and lose the church.
Well, that's because they sold into that 501.
Sure.
That's what that when they did that, when they signed that up, they can't talk about homosexuality in the church. They can't talk about the government in the church. They can't talk about politics in the church.
When the day comes that Brother Humphrey will not stand up on national television, or I don't care who's in the congregation, and stand up against homosexuality, I want you all to stretch your hands forth and say, God kill him.
Yeah.
Somebody say that. I told God many times over, I'd rather for you take me home than for me to compromise.
Amen.
Before I bring this grace from you, take me home. Let's say something.
I mean, it's what the Word of God says. I mean, we have to be true to the Word. At the same time, the Word tells us to love. And we got to love truly out of the abundance of our heart, not just lip service. You know, how you interact with a known homosexual is important. You know, you guys become the walking, living Bible when you interact with those folks. Your love is not going to show up through your words. It's going to show up through your body language. So you got to be right, truly led by the Spirit. Everything will be fine as long as you're Spirit-led, Spirit-filled. Otherwise, you're not going to be a great disciple for Christ at those times. Right? So this is one sin. It's just like abortion is another sin. You know, we have these sins that are so controversial, so dynamic, that just gets everybody's juices flowing. But we know what God thinks of all sins, right?
Right.
So let's keep that in mind. You know, He has His thoughts on all sin. So let's not get carried away, you know, with the sins of the world, so to speak. You know, the dominant sin of the moment.
But he says, because of their sin, their minds are messed up. That's in the word.
Reprobate mind. Yes, reprobate mind, yes.
He said something about being led of the Spirit. How many was at the Sunday night service? Okay. What was the title of the message?
Being led by the Spirit, or walking in the Spirit. Yeah.
Walking, living,
That's
being
right.
led, and being used of the Spirit of God. Let me break it down again. Walking. Walking in the Spirit. Living by the Spirit.
Okay.
My whole life is living in the Spirit.
Yes.
Being led of the Spirit. How many of you know being led? He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Then the Lord laid this in my heart. And being used of the Spirit of God. He gave Himself, His Spirit, and gave the 9 gifts so we could be what? So we say, use
Edify the body.
to edify the body.
Amen.
But how many of you know if you're led of the Spirit, you may prophesy or prophesy something coming to this world? So I say that. We forget the most important thing in this world is the Spirit of God. And what have I preached all these years and said, the most important gift as we come in these last days is going to be what?
Discernment.
Discernment. Discernment. We better know in the Spirit of God being led. We've got to know who's sitting beside us, who's praying against us, this and that. So we need to be in the Spirit. And if we're in the Spirit, we have the mind of Christ. So say amen. So walking in the Spirit. Walking in the Spirit. Brandon told me last evening, he came up there, and even though he got baptized in the Holy Ghost when he came up out of water with baptism, speaking in tongues, and then Sunday night kind of service, we laid hands on him, and he really went on. He came last evening, he was sitting inside of a great big barrel, a grinder, and grinding these great big, rolling these great big teeth on, smothered hot. And he said to me, he said, I'm still, he said, I don't know how to describe it. He said, I'm still like I'm not here.
That's how you feel.
Yeah.
He didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
But how many of us know what was going on?
Praise God.
I said, you're still in the Spirit. He said, things don't quite seem real.
House is back.
Huh?
House is back because I'm praying for,
Well, he didn't say anything. So, but how many know when you're in, catch us, please catch us. When you have physical conditions in the natural, if you're in the Spirit, the flesh, the natural, can't bother you. Did I say something there? In other words, you can't be sick. How many of you know your spirit can't get sick? Come on. If you're in the Spirit of God. Satan can't go into the Holy of Holies. And Satan comes to steal and kill and destroy, but I come to give you
Like,
So, physical things, fleshly things, earthly things, don't take place when you're in spirit. Brad and I told him that story about the bees years ago when I was on a 40-day fast. I'll try to go through it real quick. Me and my brother and my brother-in-law and a bunch of guys were logging. And I cut a gigantic tree, and I was on this 40-day fast. It was just the end of the fast. And this tree went over, and it was full of honeybees. And bees swarmed everything. Well, they just run out of the woods. They hooked up to the log and tried to get it out of the woods to the landing. And they had to go across a creek, and it had banks this big. So the skidder came down in and came up the other side. But because that tree was so big, it hung up. It was hanging from one bank to the other. They could not get it up on the bank. And they was placing bets out there whether I'd come out there and cut this thing in half. And they come back and said, we're hung up out there and that tree needs to be cut in half so we can get it out to the landing. I walked out across that tree, as high as this here, carrying a chainsaw. Walked over to that squirrel hole where the honeybees was, and they were just swarming. Laid that saw right in that honeybee hole, cutting them, and they were flying over it, but a bee did not land on me. They took off real quick with the log. When it broke in half, I just rode it down, and I felt like I was on a feather going down into the water. And I just walked right. Everything was like, they left. And the reason they left, now the log was laying out there because the whole landing is full of these bees. I come out there, and the Lord spoke to me and said, eat. I looked there, and I'm not joking, the end of it was from that table up to about right here. And only about that little bit of wood around, and all that was it, nothing but honeycomb. And the honey's just running out of it. I looked, there was a stick laying just about this far away, and I picked that stick up, walked over and took that stick, and I'm sticking it in there. I ate, and I ate till I was full. Not one bee landed on me. I went home, like, just like, but the next morning I woke up. The fast was over. I was back in the flesh. I go drive over to the place, and I couldn't sleep very long, so I had to jump up early, because I couldn't wait to get back there. Because I'm going back and I'm going to eat some more honey. Now it's cool in the morning, so the bees are not really swarming, so they're just dormant. I left the stick by as far as from here where Sister Joan is, and I seen that stick, and I picked that same stick up and walked over, and when I got by as far as from here to the U, they got me. They was all over me. What was the difference?
The fast was
when you were
over.
led by the Spirit.
So what?
You were in the flesh. You said the
I was in the flesh.
second time.
But why didn't they do anything to me before?
Well, you said your fast wasn't it? Your fast was over then, is what you said.
How do you know when you're in the Spirit, nothing can touch you? That's why I stress so much about Psalms 91. No evil or plague shall come nigh thy dwelling. He'll give his angels charge over you to bear thee up in their hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone.
Amen.
He that, what's it say in Psalm 9? He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow.
The Almighty.
He's going to live there. I'll say of the Lord, he's my refuge, my fortress, my God. There's a place, this is what I'm saying, before you all come in, you're talking over here. I can see us almost like at a jet, like in a jet. It's about ready to launch. But very few are ready to get on. They're out here still playing around, eating, drinking, marrying, playing, this and that. But once that thing's going, once that door's shut, go into the ark. Once the rapture takes place, it's over. So say amen. It's going to take a whole lot more to get in that kind of place than what we're doing. Somebody say amen. God
Amen.
don't have part-time Christians. Go ahead, brother.
No, I had a question. That's an incredible story. You said the next day you fasted ended on the 40th day. On the 41st day you were fast. You had broke the fast and you went back.
No, the fast was over.
The fast was over. So I'm just trying to reconcile. To me, the Spirit of the Lord, be filled with the Spirit of God. I'm trying to think of any scriptures that come to mind that ties that with fasting. Fasting, I was just looking at, just checking, this is Matthew 17:21. It says, "This, howbeit this kind goeth out only by prayer and fasting." And he's talking about the doubt or the unbelief of the disciples, that they weren't able to cast that demon out of that man's son. So I'm thinking you weren't able to get close to get something because you had some doubt because your fast was over. Not necessarily that your fast was over per se, the physical fast. And by the way, I have some of the similar things. That's why I'm speaking to this about Brother Humphrey. I fast a lot, not necessarily 40-day fast. And it's special times. And I think he's speaking to the special times and the special presence of the Spirit of the Lord. And when you're out of the fast, it's, you know, it's a little different. You almost, I want to be in some kind of fast. And I'm fasting to remove doubt, unbelief. So that mustard seed faith I've got is enough, more than enough for everything else. But it's a special place because you're humbling yourself. You just give of yourself, and it's really special. But sometimes I find myself getting caught in, wait a minute, don't be in love with fasting. Be in love with the fruits of fasting. You follow me?
Well, it's worship. Fasting is
Yeah.
worship, and we fast because we love Jesus.
Okay, let me just throw this in here. Fasting shows the seriousness of our prayers.
Yes.
To pray is one thing, but when we put fasting to it, it becomes serious. Now listen, follow me here. You'll find out why the bees stung me.
Okay, yeah, I was just trying to understand a little better. Yes, I was coming up with my own.
Fasting will put you into the Holy of Holies with Him. No devil, no evil, nothing can go into that place. But once you come out of that place, come out of His presence, you still did all these great things, but now you're walking in a what? Somebody say flesh.
Yeah.
Just because you fasted 40 days does not mean you're walking in the Spirit at all times. That's why Paul makes it so very clear. I crucify myself every so often. Is that what he says?
No, daily.
So every day we've got to crucify ourselves. One more little story here for you to show what fasting does do. I made a vow to God that I would stay in church 4 days a week, day and night. Stayed in church, slept in the church, prayed, seeking God. One morning, as it's getting daylight, I take my Bible, and so I just lay flat on the floor and just lay there all night. I can tell you these things that happen to yourself. But as daylight broke, there's a verse about talking about the devil was a prince of the Solomon. What's that word mean?
Flies.
Prince of flies. Have you ever been around one little fly? How one little fly can be? You know what I'm talking about? One little bothering fly entering the spirit. A whole swarm of them came into the church. I'm laying there on my back, and these flies comes up. I mean, it's all over, just all over, like some kind of candy or something. And I rolled over so they could not get to my face. I put my arms up, and I had the Bible like this here. I put my arms up here like this here, trying to hide myself from these flies. and they crawled underneath my armpits. Instantly, I was angry. I rolled over. I said, God, why don't you get these flies away from me? He said, you have the power. And that quick, the Holy Ghost power came up on me. I went, flies, in Jesus' name, come here now. Fall! And they fell. It was all, now this is funny. It was all in a circle here, all these flies. And I watched them try to fly. They'd make a jump and they'd beat their wings, but they couldn't fly. All of a sudden, something happened at this hand. Went back. At that present time, no big deal. But later on, well, I thought, oh my God. Do you understand there's a supernatural place that we can get to?
Amen. Yeah.
Usually when you go on a long fast, it will seem like it accomplished nothing because all hell will break loose at you. How many know if you attack, if you attack the enemy is going to attack you back harder than what you hit him to make you believe what? That you didn't do anything. That is all a waste of time. But you hit him again, he'll get you, and it'll keep on going until the enemy can't stand. Resist the devil, and he'll what? So after you stand so long, and you've done all to stand. So you never lose your post. But before those kind of things happens, we've got to kill this. And the only way we kill this, somebody quoted that scripture, only this kind comes out by
Prayer and fasting.
why can't we do that? Because you wasn't in the Spirit. But we're with Jesus. 3.5 years we're walking with Jesus. Why couldn't they do it? Just because they was with Jesus does not mean they was fasting and praying, and they did not, because the Bible lets us know they did not. But after Jesus departed, he said, I'll give you the comfort of the Holy Ghost. And then we find out things started happening in their life. Somebody say amen.
Amen. Amen.
But